If I'm being perfectly honest, I came to the social work profession by accident. In fact, when I was enrolling in social work school, I had little more than a few months of direct practice experience under my belt. Turns out it isn't so much experience that qualifies you for this profession as it is the attitude you bring. My journey to become a social worker was anything but direct. When I was 6, I got it into my head that I should try and fix the world. At the time, it seemed to me that by becoming a doctor, I would have the authority to diagnose and treat problems. Then I discovered I had a needle phobia. My dream of becoming a doctor was deflated, and yet the desire to help others remained. A year later, I wrote a letter to the then Australian Prime Minister Paul Keating, pleading with him to boost international aid to a famine-stricken Sudan. During my teen years, I volunteered for community groups and charity fundraisers. Alongside this desire to serve, I had a desire to tell stories. Nature programs featuring British broadcaster and naturalist Sir David Attenborough had long captivated me. Watching these programs, I witnessed the power of story to change minds and to broaden viewpoints. As someone with undiagnosed autism, stories like these provided an escape from sensory overload and confusing social environments. I learned to live in the world of my imagination, but at the same time, I longed to share its wonders with other people. Behind this longing was a need for empathy and shared understanding. To me, story was a tool for achieving this, if only I could just figure out how to use it. This led me to complete multiple degrees in the field of media. Across 16 years, I completed 9 unpublished novels, 14 short stories, 19 screenplays, 36 short films, and 1 feature documentary. Me telling you this is not meant to be a flex, because despite this incredible output of work, I rarely felt like I was accomplishing the underlying goal. Deep down, I believed that no one would relate to what I was creating, and so it rarely saw the light of day. After my diagnosis with Asperger's syndrome at 26, I realized that I needed to start turning this inward passion and curiosity outwards. This led me to become a journalist, working for a national Australian news website. One of the great things about this job is that it allowed me to pen stories about subjects I believed mattered. For example, maternal grief, substance use harm reduction, and race-based stigmatization. But feeding a 24-hour news cycle meant I spent a lot of my day doing unsatisfying busy work. My thirst for advocacy led me to produce an independent feature documentary. This film followed 3 adults with Down syndrome and the challenges they faced becoming independent. In order to complete this film, I was forced to do a lot of work in my free time and to dip into my savings. But juggling a full-time job and a feature film ultimately wasn't sustainable. Around this period, I requested a transfer to a news bureau based in Los Angeles. This was a wonderful career opportunity, and it allowed me to report on events like the Academy Awards and the 2016 US election. The downside of this was that I was no longer able to write social impact stories. My conscience gnawed at me, and for a time I considered a career change to writing for film and TV. I was taken by the belief that these could be great mediums for activism and advocacy. But there were a lot of barriers to entry where it came to becoming a screenwriter, and it wasn't a profession that necessarily guaranteed financial stability. While recovering from a surgery, I found myself stuck at home for a month, alone with my own thoughts. For years, I had been walking a tightrope of workaholism, and I suddenly found myself tipping over into a state of collapse. Only by undertaking meditation, journaling, and therapy was I eventually able to find a way out. These practices brought a new clarity to my life. I realized now that what I enjoyed most about being a journalist was the ability to share the stories of the quietly courageous. People had opened up to me about their fears and their anguish, often after having only known me for a brief time. Having always desired this kind of connection, I found it very rewarding. The chance to acknowledge others' silent suffering was an honor and a privilege. As a journalist, I hadn't always been able to savor these relationships. It had felt like I was always working against the clock. But in the role of a, say, therapist, I wouldn't have to rush. I could sit and be present with people and their stories. Social service wasn't a term I would have used when describing my previous work, and yet it spoke to the essence of what I was trying to accomplish. It made sense, therefore, that I explore a future career in this field. To become a clinical psychologist would require a significant investment of time and money. On the other hand, becoming a licensed clinical social worker could be accomplished in a fraction of both. I did wonder if becoming a social worker represented a continuation of my existing interests or a clean break from them. But then my previous work as a filmmaker and journalist had been motivated by a desire for social justice, which happens to be one of social work's key values. And then there was the fact that the interviewing and analytical skills I had developed in both of these roles would certainly come in handy in a clinical setting. After much research and speaking with people working in the field, I became convinced that social work was indeed for me. I realized, though, that I still had some work to do if I was to convince those people who would be assessing my grad school applications. Over the next 6 months, I interned at 2 nonprofits. This gave me insight into the inner workings of social service agencies. I also worked day and night to craft the strongest applications possible. Long story short, a year and a half later, I had quit my job, moved cities, and started a Master of Social Work program. Many years ago, I found myself sitting in a welfare agency office. A social worker was looking over my resume, and he noted that I was returning to grad school a second time. I bristled at this, thinking maybe he was criticizing me. But what the man said next gave me pause for thought. He remarked that life was not a straight road, and if it looks straight, we should be suspicious. Today, his words ring true to me. I've come to believe that if anything, life is a series of left turns. And it's only in hindsight that we realize the value of these left turns. If you have any doubts about your suitability for social work, ask yourself this: do you have a desire to serve humanity? Do you have a thirst for advocacy? Do you always strive to learn and grow? Are you willing to practice self-reflection? Are you determined to succeed? And are you committed to positive outcomes? If so, welcome home.